Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third webinar of our World Youth Day series of webinars to try and give our local parishes as much information as possible about World Youth Day, how to support your pilgrims, and how to spiritually prepare them, how to identify them, and how to get them over the line so they can journey with us to World Youth Day in Krakow next year. We're in a very exciting period of time at the moment with our registrations rolling in rapidly, with so many of our young people of Broken Bay hearing the call of Pope Francis to join him in Krakow next year, but especially the call of our Bishop, Peter Comensoli, who is eagerly inviting 500 of our young people to join him on these pilgrimage journeys. So tonight we're going to focus on, as parish and school community leaders, how can you identify these young people? How can you go about some strategies that you can put in place to encourage the young people in your communities to join us on this life-making journey? So we will do tonight, like we have done in many of our other webinars, we will very shortly change over to a PowerPoint presentation. But just to remind you of a few of the features on this webinar. On the top right-hand corner, you should see a little Rubik's Cube looking icon. If you click on that and press on the Q&A button, it will bring up a panel that will enable you to type in questions. So as we're presenting this evening, you can ask any questions that you have. And as they pop up on my screen, I can click that I've received these questions and I can answer them for you as we go. Please be aware there is a short time delay, and so I will get to them as soon as I can. Some I may leave to the end, but you will notice that when I am answering a question, it will actually pop up on the screen saying I'm answering someone's question at the moment, and then will be logged in the answered question folder. Another icon or app that you will see as part of this webinar is there is a showcase button. Now, I've already preloaded 2 specific websites into the showcase. So as I'm talking this evening, I may refer to these 2 websites. And because we've already got them in the showcase there, you can just click directly on those web links and they'll take you to what I'm talking about so you can get started. So as we start, just to, as I said, to let you know, please be familiar with this format of how we do these meetings. It's very handy to answer questions as you go along, and a reminder that this will also be available for you to watch after we have finished the live broadcast on YouTube, so you can come back and watch it again later. If anyone is joining us right now, please feel free to join in by in the question and answer section by telling us your name and what parish you're from. So just by way of communicating that there are people here and online. You don't have to, you can just sit back and watch and relax. There's no need to interact in that way. But we will get started now. And as my dogs start barking on cue again tonight, but we will now transition. Hopefully you are all hearing me and there's no problems with audio. But what we're now going to do is transfer across to our PowerPoint presentation, where hopefully you are now all seeing our World Youth Day logo before we go to our next slide. So as we begin this evening, we will start in the way we start any meeting, whether that be a virtual meeting online or whether it is a face-to-face meeting, but we will start in prayer and call on the Holy Spirit to be with us as we begin our journey, as we begin our pilgrim journey towards World Youth Day in 2016. And so we will now join me in saying the World Youth Day prayer for Australia. As Australian pilgrims, we travel as one people to celebrate God's love and mercy at World Youth Day in Krakow. We pray for our own personal transformation. God of mercy, transform me, that my eyes may be merciful, that I may marvel at the beauty of my neighbour's heart. Transform me, O God, that my ears may be merciful, that I may be attentive to those in need. Transform me, O God, that my tongue may be merciful, that I may proclaim all in love and peace. Transform me, O God, that my hands may be merciful, that I may use them to serve my neighbour. Transform me, O God, that my feet may be merciful, that my pilgrim journey leads me to compassion. Transform me, O God, that my heart may be merciful, ever open to the joy of your presence. May your mercy, O God, rest upon me and transform me into yourself, for you are my all. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. St. Mary of the Cross, Immaculate, pray for us. It's quite poignant to note that Pope Francis, as we all know, has called for an extraordinary year of Jubilee, starting on the 8th of December this year and travelling through the liturgical year of 2016. And as we all know, that is the year of mercy, which obviously links beautifully to our World Youth Day theme for next year. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. And so we really encourage our pilgrims now to start their pilgrim journey, their pilgrimage of mercy. And as we start to look at how we can identify our young pilgrims, I would like you as leaders in your parish communities to think about this. Who are the young people that are going to be the ambassadors for Christ in your community? Who are going to be the ambassadors of God's mercy in this world? Who are going to be those witnesses of God's mercy? This year of mercy, as we enter into, is calling us to be witnesses of God's mercy. And World Youth Day is an opportunity for our young people to experience God's love, hope, and mercy in a universal way, to bring it then back to our communities to share it with those around them. World Youth Day, and particularly a World Youth Day falling in a Jubilee year, is such a tremendous gift to our church. And what an incredible opportunity for the young people of our diocese to take part in this. Now, I know that many of you look around sometimes in your parish communities and you think, well, there's actually not that many young people here. Well, let me tell you that they are there. They may not be overly engaged at the moment. They may be sitting there quietly. But what we're going to start talking to tonight is about ways of engaging those young people who are present in your communities, about identifying them, finding where they are, and making them feel comfortable to make a decision to join us on this journey, so they too can have a life-making journey. So how can we do this? And where do we start? Now, I'd say firstly, this is much more than simply putting a notice in the church bulletin. Now, I might just say something a little bit cheeky here, but I don't think that many of our young people, in fact, read the bulletin. It is important, however, to continue putting those bulletin notices in. It's by way of informing the entire community of this journey. So please don't stop, but it must be much more than that. And here is just a few ideas that we've developed that could assist you to help identify and to inform your parish communities of what World Youth Day is about and how they can get their young people involved. Excuse me. The first one I would say would be host a World Youth Day expo stall at your masses one weekend. So that would just be by setting up a table and a simple display. Now, if you have past World Youth Day pilgrims in your community, utilise them for this. They could actually be using some of the merchandise and some of the paraphernalia that they bring back from their World Youth Day experiences to set up or to help set up this World Youth Day stall for you. Have young people present on those stalls to witness to other young people to get them involved. Have a previous pilgrim speak about their pilgrim experience at a mass after communion, and so they can share that inspiring story. Encourage parishioners to think about one young person that they can approach. Encourage them to put a name and a face to a young person. It's much better when this World Youth Day journey becomes a relational one, a personal one. So encourage your parishioners to think of that young person that they would like to pray for and approach to come to World Youth Day. Send a letter to the young people within your community, within the target age bracket. So go to your parish database and run a search for those who maybe completed their sacraments a number of years ago that will now fit into this age bracket, and invite them to come along. Young people don't really get letters in the mail anymore, so it will be a bit of a surprise to get a letter, particularly if it's personally addressed. Engage potential pilgrims in the parish. If they're umming and ahhing about coming along and not sure, then engage them, make them feel welcome within the community, enable them and empower them. This is going to be particularly important when you look at how you can re-engage them back into the parish post-World Youth Day, so they and the community can have the most benefits of this journey. Host a World Youth Day information session. Most people, when it comes down to it, want facts. They want to know where they're going, how much it's going to cost, how much leave they need to take, and when they need, what are the deadlines. So have your own World Youth Day information session. Approach existing groups that you have within your communities. This might be your family groups, it might be your music groups, and see if they have anyone who might be interested. A particular group of young pilgrims that tend to get left out are those in their late 20s to early 30s. So please remember that our World Youth Day age bracket is 16 to 35. And so there'll be many young people within your community who actually may fit into that bracket. And one I think that is really important is approach your local high schools and invite the current Year 12s. Our local Catholic schools in particular, and those who have SRE or CCD classes in the state schools, have had a lot of advertising passed on to them about joining as a school student. But those who are currently sitting the HSC, who will be finished at the end of this year, they next year will be young adults who could go as part of your parish communities. So make yourself known within the school community and ask if you can personally invite the Year 12s to come along to your parish, to join in and hopefully come to World Youth Day and have a lovely experience. So once we've gone about identifying some of these young people and giving you some strategies of how to do it, you need to be brave. You really do need to be brave about this and be courageous to tell these young people this is going to be an incredible experience of joy and hope for them. But the other thing you need to do is advocate for your young people. Now that can be in many different ways, but sometimes the best advocates for young people are young people. So I'd encourage you as many opportunities as possible in this year as we lead up to World Youth Day to engage young people in liturgical celebrations, in service activities, and make them visibly seen to your parish communities. Now, this is just as important for the young people who are looking to join us on pilgrimage as it is for the rest of the community who are looking at supporting these young people. They want to see the future face of our church, the hope of our church, and they want to see it now because these young people are our church right now. The other thing that I'd really encourage you to do is community building. Young people, and all people in fact, want to belong. They want to be part of something that is exciting and life-giving. So use this World Youth Day opportunity to continue building your communities. Use World Youth Day as a tool for you to build enthusiasm and to build vibrancy into your communities. Now, please, of course, do not forget spiritual support. These young people will need to discern whether to spend $7,000 and take 3 to 4 weeks of their annual leave to come on this trip. So part of that will need to be a spiritual discernment so they can see the value of this pilgrimage in their spiritual life. So think of ways that you can do that. One very simple way is by having a blessing of potential pilgrims and continue having a prayerful support for them. And I would say the last way, and sometimes this gets first on the list, but I would say the last way of supporting our pilgrims is financially. Now, this obviously does end up becoming the most difficult in some places and even the most cumbersome. So we just want to give you some guidelines of how you could assist your pilgrims financially and what you may need. But as I said in the previous slide, it's really important to have your community involved, particularly when it comes to financial support. What we've developed is there is a fundraising guide which you can download from our website. So that is available in our showcase app on the side. But on our website, in this fundraising guide, you will find many resources, and it does flesh out fundraising a little bit more. But we did highlight that it's really important to ensure that you have your community involvement down pat. So when you're starting to organise a group to attend World Youth Day, you probably will need to specifically and explicitly outline a number of things. How many young people is your community going to support? Now, just to do some maths with you, with Bishop Peter encouraging 500 young people from our diocesan community to attend, 250 of those will come from our parish communities and 250 will come from our schools. Now, when we divide that 250 from parishes up into our 26 parishes, that's around about 9 to 10 pilgrims per parish. So if that's your starting point, now many parishes are actually looking at sending more than that, and that's very exciting. But it's really important to have a very explicit goal to know how many young people you're going to support. Have a think about how much you would like these young people to personally contribute. There does need to be a personal financial sacrifice in some way or other. Have a think about how the community will make a contribution. Will it be in cash contribution, maybe from savings that your parish community has? Or will it be by hosting a fundraiser? Or will it be both? Each parish community is approaching this in a different way. And I encourage you, there is no cookie cutter for this. So have a discussion about it and think about what you would like to do for your community. Now, what are the specific gifts of your local community? I'm very lucky in the parish that I'm Gosford Parish. I've been here my entire life. And one of the absolute gifts of this local community is the community that gathers in Summersby, those who are part of the farming communities around Mangrove Mountain. Now, on previous World Youth Days, this specific gift has been fundamental in helping us to organise some amazing fundraisers, where fresh produce was donated in a chocolate wheel night, where much money was raised, where people were walking away with large hampers of fresh produce, which was a very valuable gift. Now, other areas will have different gifts that they can use. So use what is applicable to you. Don't try and copy someone else's if it doesn't fit your local shape. It is really important in this time not to get carried away, not to think that it's possible for you to fundraise for 20 young people and their full costs. Because I tell you now, that's about $140,000. What is realistic to your community? And once again, that is very different from place to place. Now, a really important one, and this comes down to making sure that everything is above board and is ethical in this process, is to make sure you know who is going to look after the money. And I don't just physically mean hold on to the cash, but who is going to keep an accurate tally of money coming in and money going out. That is very important for transparency in this process. Alongside that, you'll need to consider where your money will actually be kept. And I would suggest that you actually speak with your parish managers, secretaries, bursars about this. And how will you distribute the funds? Now, already I've been speaking with many parishes who are all taking different approaches to this. Some are just simply equally sharing it, like the parable of the workers. Some of it are looking at a needs basis and asking pilgrims to ask whether they actually need funds or not. And others are looking at a pure input equals output. So in other words, those who are more involved in fundraisers will get more outcome, financial support. One tip that I would give to every parish, and this is something we have already highlighted to all parishes in writing, but please appoint a World Youth Day fundraising coordinator. Now, their role is to ensure that they are reporting to their parish pastoral council and to the entire community. Their role would also be to collate a fundraising plan and ensure that all know what this plan is. It's to clearly articulate the goals of their plan to ensure that the community is up to date with the progress of how they are achieving their goal, but also how the funds will be distributed. I cannot stress enough the importance of being very explicit in your language here and incredibly transparent. In issues like this, when we're dealing with money, it is so important to make sure that everything is above board. And please, it is the job of the fundraising coordinator to make sure that all collections in and out are recorded very well. Once again, this is for transparency. So if you're looking now at talking to an individual pilgrim, you're trying to encourage them to come along on the trip, and they say to you, wow, $7,000 is a lot of money. I'm not sure if I can do this. I encourage you to work with them to break down this amount. And firstly, break it down into 3 parts. The first part, and the most important part, is their individual savings. Each pilgrim can very easily put aside money every week that could assist them to come on the trip. Encourage them to ask family members and friends to contribute cash towards their savings for upcoming birthdays and Christmas. The individual themselves really needs to make a personal commitment to this. They cannot simply rely on their family and community to get them there. So please always ensure with your pilgrims that you put this first. The second one is family support. Now, I've already heard many beautiful examples of this World Youth Day and previous World Youth Days. A lot of the time there is a very supportive family member who will be more than willing to support you with a savings plan to match you dollar for dollar, or even just to give you a lump sum towards your pilgrimage. There are some Adopt a Pilgrim cards, which we will talk about shortly, and some supporter prayer cards that you could use in this instance as well. And then the last leg of this, and I really stress the last part of this, is gaining financial support from your community, okay, via fundraising. So for that last point, as I said in previous slides, it's important to appoint a coordinator. And as we already said, is ask yourself those really 3 important questions. How many pilgrims are you going to fund? How much will each pilgrim personally contribute? And how long do you have to raise the money? This then just becomes a simple equation of what is your final goal that you're wanting to raise and how many months do you have to do it. Now, once you have that simple equation sorted out, you can then start to organise and plan out a fundraising calendar. When you're thinking about different fundraising activities, I once again think about 3 questions or 3 ideas. Now, the first one is what I like to call constant flow activities. What can you be doing that can be continuously advocating for your young people, continuously building community, but also bringing in a slow pool of money? So I suggest here a monthly sausage sizzle after one of your masses. Once again, in my own parish in Gosford, for years now, we have been running a monthly breakfast where we offer a full breakfast with coffee. Now, this started in the lead up to World Youth Day 2005. And the wonderful thing about this event is that even though it was 10 years ago and we raised a lot of money for our pilgrims to attend, that this community building activity is still going to this day. And it's a very important part of our parish's life. Now, I know many parishes would have many other events like this where they could be creative in what they do. But really, once again, when the emphasis there was put on community building, it's been very successful. The second thing to think about when you're trying to do fundraising in a parish community is think about events for the entire community. Things like bingo and trivia nights, multicultural dinner dances. I heard of a parish recently who had a curry night that was very successful. So what are evenings that can bring together your whole community as a massive parish event? Now, these are the kind of events that you can actually, with a bit of hard work, can raise a number of thousands of dollars in one event. But this obviously is not the kind of thing that you'll be asking people to do monthly. So you may, in your fundraising calendar, do 2 or 3 of these style events at most over the year. Can I also encourage you, by way of payback, I suppose is a very crude way of putting it, is consider hosting one of these whole community events post World Youth Day. Now, the benefit of this is to see the pilgrims when they return, to give them a mode to tell their story to the parish community, but also a way of allowing them to give back. Obviously, with the funds from this night going to the needs of the parish community rather than the young people themselves. Now, the third thing I want you to think about when you're doing fundraising is think of events that won't affect your parish community. So I'm thinking things here like a Bunnings sausage sizzle, like having a car boot sale, like selling cakes at a local event. Things like that actually means that it's not the same people, the same beautiful, generous people in your parish who are continuously putting their hand in their pocket. Now, these kind of things like a Bunnings sausage sizzle can really bring in quite a few $100s in one day. But I would suggest if you're thinking of doing that, to contact your local Bunnings or Masters straight away, as those sausage sizzles are booking up very fast. Now, once you have all of those events, you've got all your ideas, it's really important to make sure that you break them up evenly throughout your year and put them in between or working with existing community events. Please do not try and have World Youth Day fundraisers on at the same time as other fundraisers. You do not want to upset other people in your communities by doing this. Create the World Youth Day fundraising calendar then and make sure it's published. Have it in your parish bulletin, have it up on notice boards so everyone can see how they can contribute to World Youth Day funds. It's really important with all of this, your calendar, your goals, all of the information, that you keep your leadership very well informed. Talk to your parish pastoral council, make sure that your parish priest, parish managers, parish leaders are all well in the know. And also, it's really important to keep your parish and your community known to your progress. Using, like I've got here in this picture, a fundraising thermometer to keep track of your goal. You'd be surprised how beneficial a resource like this is in your community, particularly if you have it up when you're having a World Youth Day Expo one day or having an event. People will look at the goal you're trying to achieve, see that you're working hard to get there, and you'd be surprised by the number of people who would just be willing to donate to assist the young people of our church. Now, one thing we really want to make you aware of, that there are a number of resources that the diocese can provide you with during this time for fundraising and for World Youth Day promotions. We have pull-up banners, World Youth Day flags, Polish flags. We have, if you haven't seen them already, life-size cutouts of Pope Francis and JP2. We have a media stand if you're doing a really large event. We even have World Youth Day chasubles. In fact, we have about 9 of those. So you can borrow those for a mass. And you can even borrow, or we can see if we can organise, a World Youth Day ambassador and or a member of our team to come and speak at one of your events, maybe host a World Youth Day information session for you. So please, if you're struggling with your promotions or you're looking at ways to supplement your fundraising ideas, please contact us. Now, there are a number of parishes who have been making really good use of these resources recently, and we have ways of getting those resources out to you before they can be returned to others to use. So please keep us in the loop. We also love to hear the stories of your events. As I said, we've been hearing some really creative and fun and vibrant ideas out there for celebrating and promoting World Youth Day. The kind of ideas that are building our parish communities, that where the whole community is coming together to celebrate the young heart of the church. So if you can, tell us stories, pass on a little bit of a note to tell us what you did, and send us photos. Now, if you tell us of these events prior, we can put them in our calendar and we can see if even a member of our team can just be there. We love seeing our parishes actively involved in these things. And I've been so blessed in the last couple of months to come and attend many parish events. It has been so life-giving to me to witness our parishes around the diocese come to life in this way. Now, as I suggested to you before, I'm sorry for this graphic, these are a scanned version of the items, but the diocese can also provide you with these Adopt a Pilgrim prayer cards. Many of you would have already seen these, and this is a way of encouraging people in your parishes to become prayer, product, personnel, volunteer, or financial supporters to our pilgrims. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to hand out these cards to people in your parish to see if they can support your pilgrims in some way. Now, we've really left this program open-ended, because what we became very aware of very quickly is that each parish will take these cards and use them in very clever ways. And so we did not want to stifle creativity on this part. So please think about how you can use these pilgrim cards. We've seen one parish where at a masses over one weekend, the parish priest during the homily spoke about World Youth Day and how you could support pilgrims, and every single member of the parish received one of these cards and was encouraged to become a supporter in some way. We've seen other parishes where only a dozen or so of these have been handed out, but to people who are owning local businesses, to ask them to support them by donating products for raffles or events. What we have now developed is also the World Youth Day Supporter Prayer Card. Now, the purpose of the Supporter Prayer Card is to supplement the Adopt a Pilgrim resource. So if you have a person in your parish who has volunteered to support pilgrims in a particular way via cash or a product, to assist at an event, or to pray for a pilgrim, and please don't underestimate the support of a prayerful support, that a supporter can get this prayer card, which has a beautiful image of Pope Francis on the back, and has the World Youth Day theme on the front. Now, the idea with the theme on the front where it says thank you for your prayers is to write the name of a particular pilgrim there. So the supporter could take this prayer home, and if you read the prayer there, you will notice that the prayer is a prayer for a supporter over a pilgrim to ensure that their journey is one that is filled with compassion and light and shelter. So this is two resources that could work hand in hand for supporting your pilgrims and engaging your entire parish community. A few weeks ago in the clergy mail out, this was sent out with an order form. So if you would like to order some of these cards, please contact us. And if you can't find that form, just contact us in the office and we can organise that order for you. Now, the last thing we really want to mention to you tonight is just to allude you to the fact that on the 16th of September, we will be launching our major diocesan raffle for World Youth Day. Now, we'll be launching that at another webinar, so it will start at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, the 16th of September. Now, just to give you a little bit of a teaser, that we now have confirmed some major prizes that are up to the value of $24,000. These are significant prizes that we have up for grabs. What will happen is that communities, so our parishes and our schools, will be able to order raffle tickets to sell. There is absolutely no cost involved for parishes and schools. All of the costs around the printing of raffle tickets and posters is being covered by the diocese. So it means that the profits of the raffle, 100% will go towards pilgrims. In the webinar on the 16th of September, we will explain in detail how that will work. So we won't need to go into too much detail right now, but this is a really exciting opportunity. The raffle will not be drawn until March next year. In fact, we are hoping that it will be drawn on Palm Sunday, which, if you don't know, Palm Sunday is also annually World Youth Day, as announced by Pope John Paul II some 30 years ago. So what we will be doing is hosting this raffle for you. It's very exciting. Dioceses around us, our neighbouring dioceses, offer raffles of this kind for the last few World Youth Days. And I can let you know that one of the dioceses close by to us, in a very similar raffle to this last World Youth Day, raised $500,000 across the diocese that went directly to supporting pilgrims to attend World Youth Day. So this has real potential for supporting our pilgrims in a real substantial way. So that's very exciting, and I really encourage you to sign up for this webinar on the 16th of September to hear more. And please keep an eye in the clergy mail out, as we will start sending out promotional materials very soon. So I hope that tonight's session has just given you some strategies to move through about how you can, or where you can find the young people, how to approach them, how to support them and make them feel welcome. Our young people are vital. They are vital to the life of our church. And so I encourage you during this time to really engage them in this journey. More than that, I also encourage you to think about what's going to happen in 12 months' time. What will happen when these pilgrims, excited and full of enthusiasm, return to our local communities? If you are engaging your young people right now in the life of your parish, it will be much easier to re-engage them back in your communities with all of that enthusiasm when they return. I also really encourage you, as you start to identify and look at young people that you can send, that you look at sending them at least in pairs, very biblically that way. It's very difficult for a young person to return from a World Youth Day by themselves, the only one who's had this experience. It can be very overwhelming. So I really encourage you to send them in community. so they can return enthused and they feel empowered by that community. As I said previously, if you have any other questions or any other ideas you'd like to pass by us, we're more than happy to talk with you, either by phone, by email, or we'll even come and meet with you in your local parishes. We're here to support you. We're here to help you on this journey. So once again, thank you for watching this evening. Thank you for taking part. I hope this has been helpful in some way, and I look forward to seeing you in our next webinar, where we will be launching the very exciting Diocesan World Youth Day raffle and get to announce finally what our major prizes are, which are very, very exciting, and I am very disappointed that I cannot buy a raffle ticket. But look forward to seeing you then. Other than that, may God bless you and have a lovely evening.